Hey guys, it's Deborah. So I have really encouraging dreams to share with you guys today. It's always important to encourage one another. So just want to encourage you with these dreams. I've had them for a long, long time. Like I've known about them, but I just felt now is the right time to share, and I prayed on it. So I'm going to share. And I got confirmation that felt like the Lord was saying it's all right to share. So yeah, I did have a video that I just took down, my last video. I have my reasons, and so if you guys saw that last video, just know I took it down, and just be ready for anything. I don't know what's going to happen in the next few months. Obviously, no one does, but there were some red flags and other things around that video, and there's just personal and just things. So I'm being vague, so I'm just going to let it go. But I just want to let you know, if you notice it was gone, it's because, I prayed on it and there's some issues surrounding that. So I'm just going to leave it that way for now. But just know that, like they always say, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So for whatever is going to come, whether it be, war or the rapture, people pass away at any time, you don't know, or bombs, or I guess that's related, or whatever, invasion, whatever. So I'm just saying, there's a lot of things about with that video. I'm not really sure how to take it, so I'm praying on it. And so all I can say is just like, stay ready for the next few months, because it could be God really warning us that in the next few months or month, there's a lot of stuff coming down the pike. I don't know what that's saying, but it's coming. So anyway, my dreams. So let's get into them. The first dream I'm actually going to talk about is my daughter's dream. I think she had it first, my eldest daughter. She dreamt, the dream was pretty detailed, but I'm just going to give you the synopsis that would affect you guys and people looking for the rapture. So I've always said, I've never had a rapture dream. People with all these rapture dreams, I've never had one. Here I am making all these videos about end times. Feel like the Lord showed me this is like a ministry for me and all this stuff. I've never had a rapture dream. But people have all these dreams, and I'm like, I haven't had one. And I've been doing this since 2018. But then I feel like the Lord showed me, yes, you've had two, but they're not like the dreams that everyone says they've had, or, I shot up into the sky or whatever. I haven't had nothing like that. But I had two, and I feel like the Lord showed me, that's a type of rapture dream, and you'll see why. So, and there's some real encouraging stuff in this. So, my daughter's dream, start with that one, was a type of rapture dream. Again, it wasn't the typical shooting up in the sky, but, so she had this dream probably maybe, let's say 3 years ago. And so one thing about this dream, which was really interesting, is she kept saying, hold on. I don't know how much you can hear in the background, but someone was yelling for me. One of my kids was yelling for me. So I had to pause there. So this is part of the dream. In the beginning of the dream, she saw, a kids group singing and playing, and you can look this up. So it's a Canadian group. They're being so loud. So I don't have time to edit this, so I don't know how this is going to all sound, but let me just go on. I had to pause again. So, there was a singing group, a kids singing group. This will make sense. A kids singing group, and they're Canadian. And whenever I've mentioned it to certain people, like friends I have that are American, they're like, no, I have never heard of that. But they're a singing group. Look it up. Splash and Boots. That's the, I'll put a little picture up on the screen. I didn't want to do a lot of work and pictures and things like that. So, but I will, but you can just look up, it's called Splash and Boots. So splash, like splash in the water, and boots. And that was in her dream. And she came to me with this dream. Now it had several parts, but that was like I think the first part of it, or maybe the beginning. She saw them either singing or playing or whatever. So they sing kids songs, and they have a TV show, and it's Canadian. But everything about them is yellow and blue. So everything about this group is yellow and blue. And this rapture dream she had started with them. So is it not interesting? This was way before, years ago, 3 years ago. And she came to me saying, Mommy, she has dreams, but she's like, this seems like a special dream. And for her to even mention the singing group was so random. It was just so random. But It started with yellow and blue before the rapture. So what does that say to me? Ukraine. She saw those two colors. They were significant. She told me this years ago, like 3 years ago. I do kind of wish I had said something because then I'd have that proof, but it doesn't matter. I mean, I know I'm being honest. So anyway, so that's how it started. She saw this singing group. So, and I can't even make this up. These people do everything in yellow and blue. So that happened. And then after that happened, other events happened, but she found herself running in relay race at high school. So so I want to tell you, I want to preface this all by saying several of these dreams have come to pass. They've come to pass and I never thought they could happen, or I never thought they would happen. They came to pass. This is why I'm like, I'm pretty sure these are reality dreams here and this is going to happen. Well, it is going to happen, but they've come to pass. So she saw herself in relay, running in a runner's outfit, and she was in purple and white, and she was running with a friend that she knew since kindergarten, and she knew he was a Christian. She knew, like, maybe it was grade 1. She told me his name, and I remember him from grade 1, and he's a Christian. And she went to public school until like grade 3, I think. And my son went grade 1 and like a month or something in grade 2. So basically just grade 1. So, and then my other two kids they have special needs, so they went to like therapy. They didn't go to school. So anyway, my daughter saw herself running in relay at a real high school, and she knew what grade she was in. I don't want to like give any time periods, but it was around now. Let's just say it was around now. So she knew what grade she was in. She was running in relay, and she was a racer, and she was running with this boy, and like she had a team, and she was the anchor leg. So she was the finishing one, and she finished the race. I don't remember all the details, but basically that's part of it. Then after she finished the race, this boy helped her somehow with my other daughter, so one of the little sisters, someone's screaming. I had to step away, so I don't even know 100% what I said. But I think I was talking about the boy helping her climb up a tower. So they went up this tall tower, and they went up together. And she said she felt like it was like the Rapture. They went up this tower while she was feeding, I don't know if I mentioned this, her little sister really oily French fries. And she was herself eating really oily French fries. And she just came to me saying she believes this had to do with the oil of the Holy Spirit, and they were consuming it. And that was the Rapture. And it started with Splash and Boots, all in yellow and blue. I hope I've said what I think I've said. Now I got distracted with the screaming, and then now I don't know. I hope I did. So anyway, basically it started with what sounds like is Ukraine, and then it moved into this race, and then she finished. She was the anchor leg, and then she was consuming a lot of oil, and then went up, what she felt like was like the Rapture, going straight up a building with this boy that she knew was a Christian. So the thing is that's so amazing is, and I hope I'm not repeating myself, but the thing that is so amazing is that about 3 years ago, or whenever she had this, about then, all the kids were homeschooled. They had been homeschooled prior to the pandemic. They were going to be homeschooled going forward. I had no plans, especially after the pandemic hit. I had no plans on doing school at all. I just, like, the Lord had led me into homeschool, and I was like, hey, this is what I do. But out of nowhere, she felt led to go to high school. So now this is her first year in high school. And I felt like it was right. I had peace about it, which I am shocked. We never felt like that before. So out of nowhere, this is how these dreams are coming to pass. Out of nowhere, after years of the dream going that we never thought she was going to go to school, she has now started public high school. And it's a very, 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 really good school. And it's a really good deal. But at the same time, she has grown so much spiritually that the Lord has allowed her to go to high school, that I wouldn't just tell somebody, just send your kid. It's the Lord. And that's the thing is, you can make homeschooling your idol. You can make a job your idol. You can make clothes your idol. You can make a person your idol. You can make a pet your idol. But you can definitely make homeschooling, like good things, you can make an idol. And some people I know are doing homeschooling, but the Lord might say, okay, I'm sending your child out or doing something different. And they'd be like, no, because I only homeschool. Like, you have to be flexible. And so I would have never thought he would say to do that. But I understand, and I know more about this in a deeper way that I won't even go into. But yeah, so what I'm trying to say is the dream came to pass. The dream came to pass. I would not have thought this could have happened or would have happened, and it came to pass. And just the fact that she dreamt of blue and yellow and thought that she doesn't tell me about, I've probably heard a few dreams from her. Maybe like 3 max. And this was one of the main ones. And so, there's a lot of symbolism, the relay race and everything, but she knew she was running relay. And I said, do you think it was just that you were, running because you're running a race as a Christian? She's like, but the main thing is, she said, I know I saw a school building. I knew I went to public school. And this was, like I said, years and years ago. So this is a prophetic thing. She saw this. And so she saw this, and it happened, and it came to pass. And so the yellow and blue came to pass. The running, and then the public school came to pass. Now we're just waiting for the last thing, which is basically her shooting up this building that she felt like was the rapture. So 2 parts of this dream have come to pass. Next dream. Now I'm going to talk about a dream I had. So I had a dream where it was very short. I saw myself walking into a house, and I saw my husband moving boxes into the front door. And I knew we had just bought a house. And I said to him, wow, how did we get this house? And he said, I know, it's a miracle. And then he walked in. And then I looked in the front yard, and there was a little toddler baby boy. I don't even know if he could walk yet. And he was playing in the front yard. I know it, and the one thing I remember kept thinking, it was so muddy. And I was like, oh, he's going to get muddy. And he was playing in the front yard muddy. End of dream. So I had this dream, again, around similar time that she had that dream. It was probably years ago, 2 years maybe, probably about 2 years now. And could have been a little bit less. Maybe that one was like 1.5 years. I'm not sure, but it was a while now. It's been over a year for sure. So I had that dream, and yeah, it would definitely be over a year. And at the time of the dream, it's a long story. I can tell you some of it. This is like personal stuff, but we had owned a house for like 6 or 7 years, and it's a long story, but we decided to sell the house, and it wasn't by choice. We sold the house, and we kind of just we stayed with my in-laws. We rented a house, different things, but it was not a choice. It wasn't something we wanted to do. Then the housing market where I live went so crazy that we couldn't get back into the housing market. And it's not like I'm like trying to plant roots here and have all these houses or whatever, but having kids with special needs and just having kids in general, I don't want to move a lot. And when you rent a house, you risk the chance of them selling the house, which happened several times to us. So it was not good. We wanted to be stable, and I've talked to God about that a lot. So we've had about 7 years of bad things happen. We had really good things for a long time, like kind of your typical life, and all the right things happen and all the good things. And then it's been about 7 years of bad things. Not only bad, but a lot of bad things. So then we couldn't get back into the housing market, period. So when I had that dream, there was no way. Like, I couldn't get into the market. Like, we knew like there was no way. It's a long story, but there was no way. So we were like, I don't know how that could happen, but for some reason it wasn't like a normal dream. It was one of those dreams where you wake up and you're like, I think that was like one of those dreams where it was like meant something. So the reason it relates to the rapture is because I prayed on it, and I believe God showed me that little boy. He was like a baby. He represented the Revelation 12 baby. He was in the mud. He was happy. He was playing, which made me think, is it spring? Because muddy, or fall? Like, it was muddy. It wasn't snowy. So I don't know if that's timing. I'm not getting all whatever there, but that's what I saw. And it felt significant that I noticed that. And about the house, so here's the thing. Again, another impossibility. So out of nowhere, something happened, and it happened probably about 6 months ago, maybe 5 months ago. I won't get into the details. I'm not going to get into the details, but we were given like the ability to buy a house. Like, it was impossible. Someone just offered, I'm not even going to get into all the details. Just we were able to buy a house out of nowhere, literally out of nowhere. It was, and I remember the day I was having like this horrible day. I was doing I was just really upset. I'm like, God, like, what are you do? How long are you going to just do all these horrible, mean things? Sorry, God doesn't do it, but allow the enemy to do these horrible, mean things to us. How long? And then all of a sudden we get this call and this amazing thing just happens and we are able to buy a house. It was just crazy. So basically, what happened was, and I think I told you guys in like one of my old videos, that we were moving and we were able to buy a house. So this dream happened way before, like it could have been a year before that call and that situation happened. And so we went to go buy a house, but all we could get was like this tiny little one, which like there's 6 of us. So like it just didn't fit. And where I was like, and it was in a part of town that I don't really like and all these different things. So I was like, God, is this what it is? Because in the dream, the house was nice and it was a detached house and it was a big house. Like, I don't know how big, but like not a mansion, but just like, I just knew it was decent. And I remember the main thing in my head is I said in my dream, this fits our family. Like it fits our family, like the side, but this house doesn't. It's fine. You know, I'm grateful, but it's not what the dream was. So then I was like, first of all, something in the dream came true and it was rapture-y, because when I saw the little boy, at first I was freaked out because I was like, children are a blessing from the Lord, but am I having another baby? I mean, because we have 4 and then the 2 have the special needs. If they didn't have the special needs, fine, sure, another baby. But I was like, what? And I was just pretty freaked out for a little bit. So then I realized I prayed on it and prayed it. And then, no, I believe it was about Revelation 12, you know, the man-child getting caught up. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, hopefully you do. So what I think I was shown was somehow I'd get this house and then the rapture would happen, or around the time of the rapture, something like that. So it was impossible. Just like my daughter going to public school wasn't going to happen. Me getting a house wasn't going to happen. So then the only thing that didn't make sense, I'm like, so this literally happened. It came to pass, but it's not the house that I saw. So what I'm wondering is either it doesn't matter what I saw, or am I going to move? And here's the thing. I won't get into the details, but we've barely been in this house and we've already been shown an opportunity how to move that fast into a house that fits our needs. So getting into, I'm sure you guys know about the housing market, getting into the housing market, like if you look at Vancouver, to get a house in Vancouver, you're looking at like a cheap shack would be $2 million. $2 million, okay? Cheap shack. Nice house, you're looking at like $8 million. So normal people don't buy houses in Vancouver. Like you'd have to live in some like tiny little part of BC. But my point is, the house that we first bought was so cheap because we bought it way back and it was like so doable and normal people could buy a house. So now inflation, like the way the world is, or well, where I live, it's basically not possible for a normal human to really just buy a house. Like you'd have to buy it with several people or you'd have to be super rich. And there's a whole reason why it's like that and pushing out the middle class and all these different things. But there's a whole reason how it turned into that, but I won't get into that. And I wasn't trying to vest in this earth. I was like, Lord, get us out of here. This place is not good. But if he's going to let me, or he wants me to do it this way, then he's going to do it this way. And I'm going to be grateful if I have to, you know, if that's how he wants to do it or whatever. So what I was wondering is like very soon we could be moving to this other house, which would be very similar to what I saw. So that's happening. It's both those dreams have only like 90% come to pass, but there's like that one little inch before the rapture. So that's the other one that didn't make sense, that couldn't happen and miraculously happened. When I tried to do all these things in my own strength, not all these things, but like say buy a house or whatever, it never would work. It would never work. And then out of nowhere, it's like it was just handed to me. That's how God is. That happened to me once with a car. I wanted this type of car so badly. It was like a 8-seater for my family. It wasn't like some cool car, but like it looked nice. And anyway, I wanted this car. And I remember I wanted these certain car mats, like where you put your feet, because at one point I was a receptionist for a car dealership and I found out about these mats that soak up all the mud and all the muck and all the snow and stuff. And I have all these kids. So I was like, I want these mats in a car that soak up all that stuff. Because like, that's amazing. It's like a miracle. It just soaks up all the gross stuff. It's these cool car mats. Anyway, you know, instead of those like material ones or those other ones that are like just big and thick and clunky plastic, like this is like smooth and thin and some Amazing technology. Then I found out it's like $1,000 to get these car mats. So I'm like, forget it, I'll never get these car mats. So then somebody hits me to the point of my car is totaled. This happened, okay, not that long ago. My car is totaled, and I'm like trying to struggle to find a car that we can have, and it was just horrible. And I'm like, God, and the car that got hit, I feel like the Lord provided me that car, and I actually really loved that car. Hopefully you're not getting lost, but I had some other car that I really liked that I felt like God blessed me with. And then when this person hit, he totaled the car. I'm like, Lord, honestly, you've allowed so much things to be taken away. You finally give me something I like for like 1 year, and then somebody hits me, some old man, and I wasn't at fault or nothing. So I got like, the payout from the car or whatever. And then the Lord, long story, blessed me with the newer version of the van I like. It wasn't a van, it's like an SUV kind of thing, with a newer version of the one that I love so much. And guess what? It was used, but it came with the mats. It came with the mats. It came with the $1,000. Like, I didn't have to pay. Whoever bought that car made that. They like did it personally. And it had all these Christian radio stations. Like, I think they were Catholic, but they had Christian stuff like on the radio. Like, they had tuned it in, like, when you like program your channels or whatever, but it had the mats. Okay, this is off topic. Sorry, that was just like an added bonus story. This is just story time. This is what this is. But I think people need this sometimes. So it had the mats. This is the kind of thing God does. He's like, oh, you want to do it in your own strength? It's going to be hard and you're probably not going to get it. But when you let him do the thing and you just give it up, he hands it to you on a platter, and then it's better than what you thought. I never thought I'd get the better version of that car, plus the mats. So anyway, back to the dream. The house, what I'm in is not what I thought. So I'm not sure if I stepped out of his will, I went too soon, or I don't know if this was his plan. But this next step is seeming like what I saw, and that would be like my final home, Lord willing. Funny enough, you want to know something? Out of all the times since we bought our first house, like we bought our first house when I was pregnant with my first baby, and then all the kids were born in that one house. So it seemed so picture perfect. And then that's when we sold the house and had to move so many times. This is the 6th house I've moved into, and the last house would be my 7th house, God's number. So like my 7th house. But only owning 3 out of the 7. But anyway, the point is, if that happens, I'm not trying to rub in buying a house, not buying a house. I had given it way up. See, that's another thing. I had given it way up. I was like, because I had been impressing the Joneses from way back, like when I would have babies or have a kid or whatever, the baby stroller, I don't know if some of you guys are into this, but I was like loving the Italian, like super expensive baby stroller so I could push my baby and, oh, my baby's so cute, and look, my stroller's so amazing, and I'm so amazing, and look at me, I'm jogging with my stroller, and all that not good stuff. This was ages ago, but it's just vanity and it's ridiculous. And, the Lord has to work that out of you or whatever. But the point is, I had given all this, like, I was like, Lord, like, you've stripped me of it. Like, you stripped me of all that pride and all that, whatever. So that's when he started handing things back to me. So anyway, when he hands it back, it's good. It's really, really good. So I still haven't got all the things handed, but some things. So anyway, that dream partially come to pass. And then the last one, to me, this is the most encouraging. And I did share this one on a video a year ago. And it's when I talked about seeing Jesus in a dream, and I don't have many dreams, guys, like, I don't want you to think this is all I do, but they are a part of the end times. But I saw, when I said I saw Jesus, I heard the Father's voice. It sounded like thunder. Then I saw Jesus, and he was coming down with a little girl down from heaven. And the thing about some of these dreams, they're from God a lot of times I do. You have to use the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit will tell you. But anyway, you have to pray, and yeah. You don't need to ask a bunch of people. You just need to pray. You can if you're very young in your faith. I don't know how that works, but I know once you're more mature, you should really ask the Holy Spirit and ask him to help you. And so, yeah, because this is even biblical. It's a long story, but it's a biblical thing to be able to discern your own dreams and ask them, interpret. And it's a maturity thing, and it's, it doesn't, like, not immediately you're going to just jump into maturity, but you should start maturing in that way. So anyway, I ask and all this stuff, and he, a lot of the dreams that are from him, they're symbolic and they don't make sense. But the minute I wake up, they'll make sense. Like, this is what happened with this dream. So like I said, I had talked about seeing Jesus in a sky, and the clouds were shaped in a rectangle around him. But when I was sleeping, I didn't know what that meant. But when I woke up, I realized that's a door. He was coming down. There was a stairway. This is not the dream I wanted to get into, but I'm just telling you that I made a video about this dream and I knew Jesus was coming to get me. That dream had a lot of details and I'm not getting into it. But around that same time, so it's probably about maybe a year or a year and a half ago, I had a dream where I was working at a real job. Now, I'll explain. 3 things happened that should never happen, that could never, or I don't see how they could happen. They were like not happening things, and they've happened. So this third dream, I was working at a real job, and I'll explain why that doesn't make any sense. And I was at this job. I finished. I remember leaving the work. I don't know what it was, but I remember leaving, and I was like, oh no, I don't have a ride home. I don't know where my car was. I didn't have a ride home. So I go to leave thinking, who am I going to call or what's going to happen? And my friend who passed away when we were about 29, 30. So like, she was one of my closest friends. I've known her since I was in grade 9, so 14. And she was the first person to ever bring me to church. She brought me to church where I got saved. So I didn't know I wasn't Christian. I wasn't anything like that. I was wild as they come and worse. And then I didn't know anything about this stuff. And then when I came to church, I got baptized, the whole thing, like right away. I was like, this is for real. This is it. And she brought me. And so I got saved and all that at around 16, maybe 15 or 16, probably 16. Anyway, she did that. Then the Lord told me what was going to happen. He actually told me, and that's a long story in itself. And it's huge. Like I'd never been told, I don't think by the God, anything before then. And then that she would pass away, and then she did. And it was a huge traumatic thing, and it happened. We were all very young, and it just happened, and I knew it. And anyway, so then in the dream, I finished work. She came to get me. She said, don't worry, I'll take you home. Boom. The dead in Christ came to meet me, to take me home. So this is the thing. And see, that's the thing about these dreams. When it's from God, like I was dreaming it and then you wake up, and other dreams you wake up and you're like, that was weird. Or you wake up and you were like, I don't get it or whatever. It's like symbolic. It doesn't make sense. And then all of a sudden you just know. How could I know? Like, oh, the dead in Christ came to bring me home to the Father's house. So, and it was so short. So anyway, that dream, how does it seem impossible? Well, I was homeschooling, stay at home. God has kept saying, be home, stay at home, take care of the kids, home, 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 no work, don't work, home, home, home. And I fought that for a little bit because of finances, because, again, struggling to buy a house in my own will, doing all the things. And then I gave in and I was like, no, I'm home. Even though money is tight, I'm home. This is what we're going to do. And we're going to homeschool. And I was scared to homeschool because no one around me homeschooled. Like I became a part of homeschool groups and I met homeschool families, and I knew one friend that homeschooled, but it wasn't clearly like a thing that people typically do, especially in Canada. It is much more rare, but it's becoming more popular. But definitely, like, my family they were like, what? And so anyway, it was a struggle and I was scared. I'm like, what if they don't know math? What if they don't know this? What if they don't know that? And man, when my daughter had to go to school, I feel like it's bragging. Let's just say homeschooling does the trick. Let's just put it that way. I don't want to brag. Homeschooling can work. So I won't get into that, but it's a blessing to know that, you can do it. And I never knew I could do it, but you can do it if the Lord wants you to do that, but you can't make it an idol, because that can be an idol. I used to think I should wear a head covering all the time, because like, oh, head covering, and I do cover my head when the Lord, like for certain things. But I'm talking about prophetic stuff now. So like, this is a time, like it says a woman shouldn't, well, I'm not going to get into all that because that could stir up a whole thing. But my point is, at one point I thought I should, and the Lord said that would be like an idol to me, because I would be like, oh, I'm so holy, look at, I wear a head covering. And other people, he's like, your hair is an idol and you think you're so amazing, so you need to cover your hair. So see, it's just like that. So anyway, homeschooling can be an idol, but for me, it could have turned into one, because when my daughter felt led to go to school, and I kind of felt that too, I was like, no, I homeschool. We stay home. This is what we do. People don't like change. And I started probably getting a level of pride in the fact that I've done it. I've made it past the teaching someone how to read. I don't know if you've ever taught a little kid how to read, but I was like, she had pretty much known, because she was already, I think in grade 2, but my son was in grade 1. So he was still like just learning, and it was just like scary for me. I'm like, what? And then math and all the stuff. But so I'm like, I got past all that stuff. So let's just keep going. But the Lord said, no, you got different seasons or whatever. So my point is, I'm like, I can't work. I don't work. Like, I don't mind working, but God, first you tell me I like work, and then you tell me don't work. And then I like staying home, and then you tell me go to work. And he's like, yeah, because I'm the boss. So you're bought with a price. So I was like, fighting the flesh, like, finally giving in and realizing that the Lord might be okay with me going to work. Long story short is, guess who just got a job? A real job, and a good one. Okay, so part-time. I'm still a mom. I still homeschool one of the kids, and the other two go to therapy in some school, and the other one's in school. But the point is part-time, but it's a job, okay? Part-time. And it's actually better than the position I got is like unreal. I'm just like, what is this? How is this a thing? So anyway, it's just part-time, but it's like a job out of the house. So 3 things that have happened that I did not think could happen: child in school, getting a job, and buying a house. 3 things that, like, I'm telling you, could not, I didn't see a way. I shouldn't say could not. I could not see a way. How is that even going to be a thing? And even me with a job, let me put it this way. One resume got me a job that is really amazing. Okay. One resume. How did that happen? So I know that was God. It was like a God thing. Well, I believe it was, but I'm still praying on if I'm in the right spot. I don't know if this is just like the house. I don't know if I'm going to switch jobs and then the rapture or whatever. Like, all I know is all 3 things have come to pass before the rapture, including the yellow and blue with that singing group. Look up Splash and Boots, Canadian kids group. They literally look like the Ukrainian flag and she saw that before the rapture. So what I'm trying to say is these things have come to pass. Like, they literally have happened, and I could not even be making this up. Maybe to you, you're like, that's not even a big deal. It's not a big thing. But for me, it's just, I'm literally watching something come true that I dreamed. 3 things. 1 from my daughter and 2 from me. So I thought that was encouraging for you guys, because everything ended in the rapture. But it's so funny how our dreams, me and my daughter, well, definitely me, my dreams, because I said, Lord, I've never had a rapture dream. But I feel like the Lord said, well, what about, when your friend brought you home? But I never shot up in the air, but it's a type, I guess. So whatever you want to call it. But it's, she brought me home. I didn't see myself shoot up, but like, I knew that's where I was going, and I knew I was fine to go. So, and then the other one, yes, I didn't shoot up in the air, but when I saw the little boy, it's like, I felt like the Lord was saying this is related to Revelation 12. So no, I still haven't had that typical rapture dream, but I had these kind of things. But God is like that with me, like kind of like subtle and puzzly and cool. And it's just really subtle. And then it's like dry English humor. I don't know. It's like he gives me this little thing, and then like I somehow piece it together, but it's not in your face. It's a nod to the rapture. People are like, oh, I'm decorating my house for fall. I'm just going to put a pumpkin here, and it's a nod to fall. I don't want to overkill it with fall decorations. So it's just a nod. I don't know if you guys have ever heard people say that, but it's like a nod to something, meaning like just a tiny little, it's just a little like, doop, like a little like tiny little hint. And then I just like, whoa, that was amazing. But other people, maybe they need it in your face. Maybe they're more, or just he works differently with different people. For me, he's subtle. It's kind of like this coy, cool way. I don't know how to explain it, but kind of like dry English humor. I don't know. I must like that. So it's just like subtle, and then that's how it seems to happen for me. Maybe there's some other reason. I don't know. Or maybe he knows I can pick up. I'm very sensitive to like a discernment-y kind of thing. So maybe he knows I can pick up the subtlety of it. Like, all I need to hear is one little small word, and I know what it means. One little word, or like, and I know other people have that, but I think it's different for different people. But all I had to hear was, she's taking me home. Like, and I just knew, like, I didn't have to see more. So anyway, that's just how it was for me. So I hope that blessed you guys, and just know, my daughter's in school. So the rapture can happen at any time. These things it's all set up. I'm in a house that I bought that doesn't make any sense that I could have it. So it could be this house, or it could be in a few months. It's very soon that we could be in this next house. So it could be one of the two. And then the work. I got the job. I was waiting. And that's another thing. I'm like, I don't have a job. Is the rapture going to happen? Because my friend picked me up from a real job. But then I was thinking, well, maybe he means you're just working for the Lord. Like my daughter, she was running a race. But, that could be just when she was running the race. I'm like, maybe, you weren't in real school, public school. Maybe it's just you're running a race for the Lord. And she's like, I don't know. I saw the building. I feel like the building was there for a reason. And if anybody knows about the dream where I said I saw Jesus in the clouds coming down the stairs with a little girl and the Father's voice sounded like thunder. And I think I told you guys that it was at my first apartment building I lived in with my family as a little kid, where I first grew up. And I saw picnic tables outside the building. There had never been picnic tables there. Never, never, never. I went back to visit that area that I hadn't been to. Like it was my childhood apartment. And they had set up this whole picnic area, even with barbecues outside an apartment building, like all these picnic tables with barbecues. Like, so I've just never even seen that in an apartment. So that, hey, if you don't have a barbecue, you can go out and use the barbecue and pick. Anyway, it's called set up. These say everything's set up. It's all set up. The stage is set. So when I didn't have a job, I was like, and people were like, oh, Rapture's tomorrow. Oh, Rapture might be next week. Oh, I'm like, man, is this dream not from God? Because that really felt like from God. Because I don't have a job, but I didn't want to crush nobody's spirits but I'm like, I don't have a job. And then when I got that job with one resume, you know what that was? That was the CarMax. Okay, that was the car. That's God's favor. When it's time, boy, does he roll in and just quickly and smoothly. And when it's in your own will, it's so long and hard. But something that I don't know where I heard, but I feel like maybe just the Holy Spirit told me that God is kind of like suddenly and then, wait and then suddenly. It's like, wait, suddenly. So like how a lot of times he works is there's a lot of waiting and then suddenly it happens so fast where you're less like, what? Like he does things like that. And then when it happens, you thought it would never happen. And then it happens. And I'm still waiting on my most massivest breakthrough, which is my twins ever. But he gave me a word on all that. So I hold on and cling on to dear hope in him for that. But that's my biggest breakthrough. All the rest, is just little compared. So, I just wanted to encourage you with that. And that, this is how God works. He can do that for you. He can move like this for you. And I'm praying we don't have much time because these things literally came true. And I just couldn't see how they were just things that I'm like, well, they're not going to put picnic benches in front of an apartment building that's been standing for 30, 40 years, like 50 years. I mean, I don't know how long it's been up. And never has had it. I thought it's all symbolic. It literally happened. I thought it was symbolic. My daughter's not going to go to public school after a pandemic. She's been homeschooled all this time. Now all of a sudden God's going to tell me send her to school when all this time he said don't. And then all of a sudden he does. And trust me, she doesn't do stuff if she doesn't feel peace about it. Trust me, this girl does not. So we were both like, this is so weird. It's like you're supposed to go. So anyway, there's that. And then, like I said, the house, I remember the day I got the call that we were given something to be able to get this house and who gave it to us and everything. And I was sitting there like, it was one of my worst days. And I was like, God, like, have you abandoned me? Like, when is this nightmare going to end? And I get this call. Okay. But it took years to get there. Okay. Again, didn't think it could happen. Couldn't happen. Completely gave it up. Happened miraculously. And then the last thing, didn't have a job. I've had the job for 3 weeks, you guys. 3 weeks. I thought God said, don't get a job. 3 weeks I've had this job. You know how I talked to you about the Shemitah and all that stuff, and I wasn't working, and God told me don't do this or whatever. And then I just felt like the time was right. One resume. How? And I don't know if it's boastful to tell you what I'm doing, but I'm just going to leave it for now because I don't know if it is because, man, it's better than what you need to be technically trained for this, and I am, doing it. And one thing, no, you know what? I'm not going to get into it till I pray on it. There's more that I could, but actually I could get flagged in this video if I go into it, so I'm just not even going to go into that part yet until I pray on it. But let me just say that this stuff is encouraging. This stuff is encouraging me. This was just story time. There was no special effects. It was just story time and interesting. And I'm just telling you that if these things are all set, the the thing with God with me is that when he talks to me and shows me things stuff, it's not always what I want. It's not always like sometimes he'll just like reward me, and then it is what I want to an excess of what I want. That's going to be heaven, like extra. But a lot of times it's like he, like my friend passing away, like when he showed me that, I'm like, what? No, like I don't, all the things I get shown, or like these were all positive things, but it doesn't always happen the way I want, or it's just his way. But in the end, it's better than what we would have done for ourselves. I that can be annoying to say and hear and believe, because when you're in the waiting period, it feels like that. But when one suddenly happens, it's all worth it. There's a Bible verse that says, hold on, I'm going to find it. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 9. But as it is written, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. So yeah, that's, I'm sure things on this earth, but that's, I think, talking about heaven. And yeah, so we really just can't even imagine. But I know people say that, and when you're in a hard time, you're like, yeah. But it is really like that. And when these little things happen here on earth, you just get a taste of it, where you wait so long, so much misery and heartache and everything, and then it happens in a way you cannot even imagine. And the thing that I find interesting is everything's happening super fast speed in these things. They're all coming true at the same time. Starting with the school, the house. Actually, the house was first. The house, then the school, then the job. So maybe God was waiting till all these things came to pass, but they all ended with the rapture. It started with yellow and blue. A kid seeing this so long ago, before everything, that's how it all started. And then it ended with these three things, and they just happen now. So anyway, so I should leave it at that. I've talked a really long time, but hopefully this blessed you guys and encouraged you guys. Yeah, let me know what you think. It was just meant to be a hopeful thing, happy, hopeful, encouraging video. And I'm not saying I know how much more time there would be, but I'm sorry, when I think about that yellow and blue, that splash and boots thing, I know that might be like nothing to you guys, but there's no way. There was no reason for her to dream of that show. Like, and for her to come to me separately and say, I dreamt of this show, and then it was the rapture. Come on, yellow and blue. Guys, look up the show. Anyway, so yeah, that was just for sure. It was a thing for sure. And then all of these things. So we're pretty much here. I mean, I don't really see what's left, but I don't pretend to know the mind of God and his sovereignty and all that stuff. But yeah, he does tell his servants and his prophets, or I'm not saying I'm a prophet, but you know what I mean? Like, I guess I don't know. Okay, I'm saying that verse that says, he does nothing, I think it's in Amos, without telling his servants or his prophets first. So, I'm saying he in the end times is telling people things through dreams, visions, words, understanding, and plenty of other things. If you're willing to listen, if you're not hard-hearted and have idols all set up. So yeah, I'll just end it at that. I hope that blessed you guys. And yeah, seems like we really don't have much longer to go. So I guess just let me know what you think in the comments. And thank you for all the love and all the support and everything in the comments. And if I don't reply, it's not because I am reading them. I just want to take it slow, and I have a lot on the go, and I'm going to read them, and if needed, I can reply. But yeah, I'm just blessed to be able to talk with you guys and share these things. So yeah, Maranatha, come Lord Jesus. And yeah, I guess I'll talk to you guys again soon, or hopefully see you in the air. Until next time, God bless and shalom.